In this short video, I'm going to draw your attention to a bit of a variation on alkyl groups, specifically larger branch alkyl groups, and how the prefix ends up being given a common name. So as it suggests here, some of the larger branch prefixes have this common name because of how they can actually attach to the chain. So if we look at methyl and ethyl groups initially, they're pretty straightforward. So a methyl group is a single carbon. There's my methyl group. There's only one way for that group to attach to a bigger chain. It's going to attach here, bonded from the carbon to a carbon of the main chain. Ethyl is the same. It doesn't matter how you orientate it. An ethyl branch only has a single way to attach. It can attach with this carbon, or if it attaches with this carbon, it's the same thing. It's basically that. The branch in itself is no different in terms of orientation. But that changes when you get a propyl branch. So if we look at a propyl branch, 3-carbon branch, here's my R group, that's the main chain, and I have carbon 1, 2, 3. So the branch is attached to carbon 3. Well, in this case, there's my group, the branch is attached at carbon 2 of the branch. And so that's a different structure. And so the name has to be given a different name, but we can't call it a propyl branch because we already have a propyl branch. So this is where it has a common name. And the common name for that branch is an isopropyl branch. So an isopropyl branch is a 3-carbon branch, but the alkyl group, the propyl group, attaches from carbon 2 of the propane, of the propyl group, not carbon 1. So it gets even more complex when you have a butyl branch. So a butyl branch, there's 3 different variants, and see if you can see how they vary. So here's my R group attached to carbon 1, making it a straightforward butyl branch. But now I have R group attached to carbon 1, or is it? Well, look at the orientation. It doesn't. You don't even know which one's carbon 1 anymore. So that's a different orientation. Here, this is a little closer to similar, but it's attached to the 2nd carbon, not the 1st carbon. And again, here we have a real pig's ear of a type of branch. And so these all have common names, and they're the common names. So isobutyl, where we have the R group bonded to carbon of the branch, bonded to the middle carbon of the remaining 3. So that's an isobutyl. Sec-butyl, that maybe makes it a little more sense. If that's a butyl, a sec-butyl, the R group attaches to carbon 2 of the butyl branch, and this is known as a tert-butyl. And so those are common names for 3 different butyl branches. Now, it's not always the case that you can see or have these longer branches. So if we look at this particular example, it's given the name 2-isopropyl butane, and that works because here's my butane. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my butane, and there's an isopropyl group, as we just saw. So that's isopropyl. But if I was to renumber that this way, let me just erase that. If I renumber it starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I get a 5-carbon branch. And so it's not actually butane. Butane is incorrect. So it's actually a pentane. And on carbon 2 and carbon 3, I have methyl groups. So the better name for that is 2,3-dimethyl pentane. That said, 2-isopropyl butane is also acceptable because you're using a common name for that branch, which works. It's much more common when you get larger, long branch alkenes or alkynes. And so here's another example. So here's our longest continuous chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's our longest chain. And on carbon 4, I have, would you remember what that type of branch is? That's a sec-butyl branch. So what I have is 4 sec-butyl. Whoops. I have 4 sec-butyl, 8 carbons, octane. So that's a true use of that sec-butyl branch. There is no other way to name it. It doesn't become part of a longer chain. Here's the last example. So again, there's my branch, and that is a tert butyl branch, and I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 carbon parent molecule, so that it becomes 5 tert butyl decane for 10 carbons on the parent molecule. So 5 tert butyl decane. So most of the time you will see these oddball or common names for longer branches is when you have quite a long parent molecule. Certainly octane and up, you might come across that, but it's not too common in this early stages of your career in organic nomenclature. And that concludes this video.